7:39, we're going to take you through the papers now with senior reporter at the newspaper, Benjamin Butterworth, and broadcaster Liz Kershaw. Morning, you two. I know we're going to talk about strikes to begin with, Benjamin.
Yeah.
So I just want to start with this from Leon. Morning, Leon. He says, I remember Stephen praising me as a firefighter working through the heatwave on GB News. Could Stephen say whether he thinks £450 a week after tax is enough reward for a family of 5 to live on during 10% inflation? I've been on the front line for 20 years, but it's only now we're having to go without. Well, no, Leon, I don't think it is enough.
No.
I don't think it is enough. But the problem is nobody's got enough at the minute. And therefore, what do you do? I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't strike. I'm just saying everyone's struggling, and how are they going to meet a 10% pay rise? Because give it to one, everybody's going to want it, and then where are we? So I'm looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah. And it's also the timing of all of these strikes just before Christmas. It just seems so harsh.
But it's not to undermine what people like you, Leon, do, because what you do is amazing. But it's...
And thank God for you, and let's hope that we don't have to call on you and find that you're on strike.
Well, yeah.
OK, Benjamin, so looking at the new strike-busting legislation that could actually backfire.
It could. I was just going to say on Leon's point, I think a lot of those people who are going on strikes would say that sympathy or empathy, doth butter no parsnips. They can't afford to pay their bills, and I think that's why we're in the position we're in. So this is an exclusive on the front page of today's newspaper. So there are strikes, as we all know, on the trains, which are going to include from 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, which I think feels particularly cruel to a lot of people.
Well, who's going to be travelling after 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve?
Well, anyone with a job that wants to get home.
Somebody who worked the day on Christmas Eve and then wants to get back to home or relatives.
So, everyone knows about all these strikes that are going on, and the government has brought forward legislation to try and make certain workers and agency workers cover those, so you have minimum supplies to undermine the ability to strike. But it's turned out a leaked document from the Department for Transport has said that they think that will cause more strikes because staff may refuse to play along with that game. It may lead to retribution. The RMT leader, Mick Lynch, has said that they may well do more strikes if the government tries to undermine their ability to go and have collective protest in that way. And Labour has said that this is just the government playing games rather than trying to solve the problem. Now, one thing that may happen...
How do you solve the problem without giving them what they want?
Well, why shouldn't you give them what they want?
Because we can't afford it.
I mean, they were offered an 8% rise, which actually struck me personally.
Over 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that wasn't the most unfair, because inflation is now 10% or 14%, depending on how you measure it. It's likely to come down by a couple of percentage points quite soon because of the cap on heating and energy bills and the fact that oil and gas prices have been falling at source. So there's positive news. So I kind of thought 8%, probably is in line with where they're going to be in 6 months. But they've said no to that. The danger here is that if they force workers to go in order to meet this new law, if some workers refuse, they then get sacked, and then you have a much bigger problem because there literally aren't the staff to run them all the time.
Yeah.
So it could backfire, Liz.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, because still with the strikes, Liz, in the Times, the Home Secretary saying, think twice before you go anywhere.
Yeah, can I just say, I don't think the government, as I said earlier, has got a leg to stand on, because having given 10% to pensioners and 10% to people on benefits, how can they justify not giving at least their own employees, public sector workers, 10%? They just can't say, you all keep going out to work, keep the country running.
Because it's targeting the most vulnerable. Is it those people who haven't got employment?
I don't think a fireman taking home £450 a week for his family and children.
Net.
Yeah, taking home is actually living it large. But anyway,
they're not living it large. But if you give them 10%, and whoever else wants it, teachers, lawyers, nurses, ambulance staff, we're going to run out of money pretty damn quick.
10%'s all pensioners. It's not means tested.
But it's on the state pension. That's on state pension.
Yeah, no. Anyway, that's a different discussion, I suppose. Anyway, the strike action that Suella is talking about, Breverman, is the airports from December the 23rd to Boxing Day, just in time to stop people going off for Christmas, and December the 28th to New Year's Eve, just in time to stop people flying off for New Year. Really peevish, I think. So that's the story, but on the broader topic of strikes, I've got some figures here for you. On the railways, the train drivers, by the way, are not involved in this strike. They're ASLEF, and they have got an ongoing dispute, but they're not involved. Their median pay, so if you lined up train drivers, the one right in the middle of the row would be earning 59,000. That means some are earning more, some are earning less. Train drivers over the last 10 years have had an increase of 39% in their salaries. That's in contrast to all workers in the country who over the last 10 years, Office of National Statistics has had 21%. But on the other workers in the rail industry, represented by Mick Lynch, who says 75% of his members are paid less than £32,000, and it includes a lot of cleaners. But here are some of the these are all median wages. Ticket collectors, guards and information staff, 33,310. Maintenance and construction, lane tracks, etc., 34,998. Signallers, drivers, 48,750. Repair and maintenance of carriages, 46,753. The UK median is 25,971, which sounds about what that fireman is on. And then in the health service, the median for a nurse is 31,093, and a care worker median is 16,502. That is disgusting, and that's private sector, obviously, because the health service doesn't take care of.
Once upon a time, those salaries
I just thought I'd throw
sounded okay, but you try getting by on those salaries now.
Well, I just thought people, these are actual official statistics, fact-checked from the BBC's website, from the ONS. Sorry, I'd have gone to the GBNEWS one, but there wasn't this. So, while we're all talking about, what are they on, and you know, a lot of this is the politics of envy and everything. Well, they're the actual wages that people are on.
Well, from someone who doesn't have to worry about all that sort of thing, we've just got time for this, Benjamin, in the Times. Celine Dion. I saw this video last night that she did. She was really, really upset. It's a really emotional video.
Yeah, so she's been diagnosed with something called stiff person syndrome, which basically means that your muscles freeze up to the extent that people who get this condition can end up as human statues, unable to move. And she's been off tour for a long time, and now we know why. Apparently it's already affecting her vocal cords, so she's struggling to sing as she usually would. And one of the problems is that it's triggered by loud noises, and so people who get this condition won't leave the house, because if there's a loud noise in the street, as is very normal, their whole body can freeze. Now, she does concerts. They are loud noises for 2 hours, and so, you know, she is crying in this video, and it looks like she's incredibly unlucky. I think she's 54 years old. And she's just taken many years off because her husband, and the man who discovered her when she was young, died a couple of years ago, and she cared for him for something like 5 years, and now she's come across this. It really breaks your heart, because, you know, there are some superstars who you think, I'm not sure about them. Celine Dion just comes across as
a nice person.
The heart of gold.
She has had a really rough ride, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She has.
There's nothing more, money can't buy it. There's nothing more precious than your health, is there?
And the idea...
No matter how rich you are,
You can have
how
everything
famous,
in the world.
how celebrated.
People can really envy your lifestyle, your success, but if you lose your health...
And not being able to move, I mean, literally being a human statue. I can think of few things more brutal than that.
That's awful, isn't it? Well, she says she's going to fight it. She's fighting it, and she's having all this physio and things, and she hopes it will improve. There you go. Look, thank you both. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on.